Hi, this is Dr. JMR Chemistry. Today I would like to explain symbols and formulae. Munduga I will give you some introduction. That is what is chemistry. First మీకు chemistry అంటే ఏంటి చెప్తాను. Chemistry naturally branch of science. It deals with the structure, composition and transformation of matter అని మనం చెప్పొచ్చు. Next, substance are made up of water, matter. Substance are made up of matter. So here you take a chemical substance. So chemical substance is a kind of matter that cannot be separated into other kind of physical process. Then what is matter? Matter means anything which occupies space. You know what is matter? Anything which occupies space has a mass perceived by sense is known as matter. So anything which occupies space, suppose here matter is made up of, generally matter is made up of small particles. Matter is made up of small particles. That small particles we can call it as atoms. So initially atoms, molecules or ions, whatever it may be, means matter is made up of small particles. That small particles are known as atoms. Sometimes we can call it as molecules or ions, because at the time it was not clarity, means this terminology was not introduced. So anyway, matter is classified into 3 types. What are they? That is solid, then liquid and gaseous state. Gaseous state. They are classified into 3 types: solid, liquid and gaseous state. Okay. Then here I use the terminology atom. Then here what do you mean by atom? So here in 1808, John Dalton So according to John Dalton, elemental matter, you take any matter, that elemental matter is made up of small particles. At the time he introduced that small particles is known as atom. Means according to John Dalton, elemental matter is made up of small particles called atoms. So the term atom was derived from Greek language atomos. Meaning what? Means indivisible. Means atoms may or may not be exist independently and it cannot further divide it. So it is the smallest particle according to John Dalton. So like that he introduced. But anyway, at the time he introduced like that. Anyway, you take matter is classified into 2 types. What are they? You take matter matter is classified into two types. Then what are they? One is pure substance and the one is mixture. What do you mean by pure substance? Pure substance means it is a homogeneous in nature which contains only one kind of particles. Means, what do you mean by that? Suppose you take H2, all H2s it contains, or you take N2, all N2s, or you take Cl2. This is one kind of atoms, one kind of particles. You take CO2, that also it will come, no problem. So like that, they are classified into pure. It must be pure. All CO2, CO2 is also pure. Or you take NaCl, all NaCl, in that substance, it contains only sodium chloride molecules. So we can call it as pure. Similarly, it is classified into two types. What are they? One is element and the one is compound. What do you mean by element? Element means a group of identical atoms. What do you mean by that? So, Robert Boyle, he introduced this terminology. Robert Boyle in 1761, he introduced terminology element. So, what do you mean by element? Element is nothing but a group of, it is nothing but identical atoms. I will give you one example, that is, suppose Cu, all Cus, or you take all sodium atoms. So like that, all you take magnesium atoms. So like this, a group of identical atoms. Similarly, I would like to explain one thing. Generally, we are writing elements. Suppose you take copper, you take like this copper, or you take sodium, or you take whatever it may be, zinc pieces or whatever it may be. This is one terminology, and this is also. Or S8 you take, P4 you take, O2 you take, Cl2 you take. These are examples. Why? Elements means a group of identical. Suppose you take all Cus, all Nas, all zinc, all S8. These are nothing but pure only. Nothing will happen. So here what happened? Again I would like to use the terminology atomic element and molecular element. This we can call it as atomic element. This we can call it as atomic element. So this we can call it as atomic element. Then second terminology, what is that? Next terminology, S8, P4, O2, Cl2, N2 and F2 you take like that. These are known as what? A molecular element. This we can call it as molecular element. Molecular element. Molecular element means what? Molecular element means two or more atoms are combining. Here S8, all similar type of S, by they are octatomic. So like this molecular tetra. Like this here what happened? These are known as atomic elements. These are known as molecular elements. So like that they are classified into two types. This is element only. This is also element, but this is known as atomic element. Suppose you take helium also atomic element, or you take neon. These are what? Atomic elements. Noble gases are generally, they are atomic elements. Okay. Then what about compound? Then if we will go for compound, so compound, two or more atoms. I will give you one example. Two or more compounds. So suppose for example you take H2O, so or you take CO2, or you take H2SO4. So compound means two or more, what you call two or more atoms are combining. Here what happened, two or more atoms are combining. So like this, here what happened, H2O, H and O is combining, C and O is combining, H, S and O is combining to form molecular elements. So this we can call it as, it is in the form of molecular state. So that is why we can call it as molecular compounds. Molecular compounds. Compounds only, but they are in the molecule state. So that is why molecular. Indirectly they are nothing but they are covalent in nature. So that is why here what happened, compounds are classified into two types. One is molecular compounds and the one is ionic compounds. What do you mean by ionic compounds? Ionic compounds are nothing but, suppose you take NaCl, Na plus Cl minus, like this, MgCl2 or Mg plus Cl minus, CaO, Ca2 plus and O minus 2. So these are called ionic compounds. So like this, if we'll go back, just we'll go through that once again. So here, pure substance. What do you mean by matter? I told pure substance. What do you mean by pure substance? Pure substance means a homogeneous material which contains only one kind of atoms, or you take molecules, then we can call it as what, a pure substance. It is classified into two types. One is element and the one is compound. What do you mean by element? Element means a group of identical atoms. According to Robert Boyle, so a group of identical atoms is known as element. So example is, again it is classified into two types. So element is classified into two types. What is that? We can say that is atomic element and molecular element. So what do you mean by atomic element? Element which can exist in nature with the same atoms, of their basic units, we can call it as what, a element, atomic element. Suppose you take helium gas is made up of only helium atoms. You take copper, is composed of copper atoms. You take sodium is also composed of sodium atoms. So like that you can say. Then what about molecular element? Molecular elements do not naturally exist in nature with single atoms. Suppose you take S, it cannot exist. It is in the form of S8 only. Suppose you take P4, it cannot exist in the form of single atoms. So the basic unit is P4 only. So you take oxygen, it cannot exist O. It is in the form of O2 only. Suppose you take Cl2. So like this, here what happened? They cannot exist single atom in the nature. So that is why we can call it as molecular elements only. It is available in the form of S8, P4, O2, Cl2, N2, F2, or what do you call, you take anything in the form of diatomic molecule or tetra, or you take O3. So like this, ozone. So like this, it is in the form of molecular element. Then what about compounds? So compounds are classified into two types. Then one is molecular element, molecular compound, and the one is ionic compound. Then what do you mean by molecular compound? So two or more atoms are combining, that is H2O, then CO2, H2SO4, HCl, etc. Molecule means it is two or more atoms. So here also two or more atoms. So it is classified into two types, no problem. One is molecular element and the one is ionic compounds. So here what happened, H2O, H and O, they are indirectly molecules in the form of covalent in nature. They are in covalent in nature. This is ionic in nature. Means ionic means these are metals. You see, two non-metals are combining. So here one is metal and the one is non-metal. They are combining. That is the difference between these two. If two non-metals are combining, then we can call it as molecular compound. So it will come in the future. What is metal? What is non-metal? It will come in the future. So that is I will explain. Or you take you go through my description. So please, whether it is what is covalent, what is ionic, what is coordinate covalent bond, I explained in various videos. So please go through my description. In that link is given. Please click on that. So here molecular compounds means two or more non-metals are combining. So here ionic compounds means two, one is metal and the one is non-metal. They are combined to form ionic in nature. So like this here what happened, they are classified into molecular compounds and ionic compounds. So like that they are classified into two types. This is about description. Then what about mixtures? Mixture means I will explain in the next video. So mixture means I will give you the definition. It is an impure substance contains different kind of particles, different type of particles. Suppose I will give you one example: sand, sugar, dust, air, or you take air, sea water, brass, bronze, kerosene, petrol. Like this here what happened, two different, they are not chemically combined. So mixtures having a constant composition throughout, but they are not combining with each other. So they are called different composition, different regions. So we can call it as they are mixtures, so that they are not combining with each other. They are not chemically combined. We can call it as what beta mixtures. So this is about what matter and the respective classification. So thank you. Please subscribe, share and comment. This is Dr. JMR Chemistry. Jaldi likhiye. So please write down. I'll give you time, no problem. Or you take a screenshot. Yeah. So nearly 200 topics are there. Please click on that. So links, then you will get a respective subject topic. Thank you. This is Dr. JMR Chemistry. So thank you.